Okay, all right, we are live. We are live. So, welcome everybody. We'll see. Wait a few minutes here, maybe, for someone to connect with us here. And I appreciate everybody that comes in to listen. Welcome to this somewhat impromptu uh, live stream of the CO visit. But in light of recent news, I thought that it was appropriate to come on and open up a space so that perhaps within this controlled or somewhat, I guess, controlled environment, we can vent a little bit, and that's fine. Okay, I think that that's a perfectly healthy and normal. If that's something that anybody feels that they need to do or express what they're feeling, everything can't be all cool and collectedness and all the time. Sometimes we simply have emotions about things because, um, as my friend Matthew mentioned, all of us are carrying our own traumas and demons, or whatever you want to call them, from the experiences that we've had, and you're going to react in different ways to this kind of news. And the I think the reaction, at least I can say in my experience with when I saw this news, it's so far beyond. It's so much deeper than just, oh, we lost, or oh, they ruled in favor of the Watchtower organization. It's so much more than that. It's looking at this whole institutional practice and what is being portrayed, projected to everybody else, the public, and yet what's really going on behind the scenes. And when we have hope for the countries that we live in, I live in a country plagued by disorder, chaos, corruption in every aspect of the culture on every level. And we would aspire here, and people look to other countries for guidance and thinking that, oh, Norway, United States, whatever, this country, that country, they must be better. They must be, because look at them. They're rich, they're powerful, they're orderly, they're are we really? Are they really? You know, and it takes me back to some of the words that the late comedian George Carlin said in one of his stand-up skits. We're barely out of the jungle, folks. That's what he said. We're barely out of the jungle. And that is the truth. So thank you, everyone. 7, 8 people already joining us. The chat is open. Feel free to join us. I will also I will share in just a moment here the link if anyone else wants to join us briefly and come in and give your thoughts on your first impressions of this information about finally the ruling from the Norway Supreme Court, which, as you may know or may not know, was in favor of the Watchtower Society. So the shunning and other practices will continue. Will continue. And then a little bit later on, we'll talk about how, this is emboldening the governing body because they've even gone so far as to sue the government of Japan over questions of corporal punishment. So since there's a whole history behind that as well. We'll get to that. But since all of you probably remember a few years back when this young man assassinated the prime minister, and he was a member of the Unification Church, the assassin. So that provoked, in turn, the Japanese government to really put restrictions on them, and then they started looking at the witnesses, and they started finding out about the practice of how corporal punishment is very normalized. And so they enacted child protection laws that are very strict. And so now the Watchtower Society is right now has an active lawsuit against the Japanese government because they are infringing on their religious practices. So of course, what happened in Norway is going to embolden them further. So yes, that is, guys, that's the reality we're looking at right now. So today, once again, I think as most of the time when I have a live stream, I think the same with Matthew. Even with this topic, there's a lot to discuss, but we're not pretending to reach a certain conclusion or get to the bottom of anything. We're just going to talk about it. And right now, I think, is the stage of an intellectual discussion. We're going to be at the top because we're going to be just chipping the ice. We have to get rid of these emotions, vent these emotions, so that later on our more controlled intellectual selves can then take over and go, okay, so let's sit down again and let's really look at this. So the chat is active. Welcome everybody. Okay, and please support the channel. You know, all the ways that you can. There's the link if you want to join us. Matthew, how are you doing, my friend?
Colin, I'm very grateful for you reaching out over the waters and the distance there, and I'm going to share that I appreciate the comfort. I really do, and I appreciate the opportunity to be even able to talk like this on your show, and I think that what you're doing here is very important because I actually feel physical pain. I'm sitting here and I'm just got a migraine like you cannot believe, and I feel physically sick. And I'm going, well, you know, you've mentioned things about my channel. I endeavor to try and be balanced about it and look at the various sides. But even rationalizing in this way and trying to do this in a dignified way, my body is just screaming. It's just It's saying, man, oh man, oh man. Whether that's as a result of this or just the cognitive overload or whatever. Because you know the situation here in South Africa regarding laws regarding you know, the vulnerable safety, especially children, but also the guardians of those children who are endeavoring to do what's right. And so I've been describing a chain that represents the principle of this in motion. We are described, you know, an elder witnessing a child getting corporal punishment at a kingdom hall, and not once, but this is several times. Other elders allegedly supporting the corporal punishment because they've gone in overreach. Then you get a witness reporting up the chain to the branch, to the service desk. He's told to correct it in writing, and then he's removed for acting on that instruction. But that's not the critical issue, because what we've seen in the Norway court system with the dilemma, you've got this composite scenario combining alleged internal JW practices. When does it go from alleged to established fact beyond assumption about branch instruction and assumed retaliatory removal? Because they're basically going, no, that doesn't happen until we say that this court rules, that it acknowledges that that is happening and it is an abusive situation. So you've got this, can I say, tension that's occurring between persons' lived experiences of saying, well, we endeavored to do something in a just way. We used the system. We weren't bucking against it. We were saying, well, what do? We get told what to do. We apply it. And then this is the real world consequence. And now family, friends, loss of housing, loss of your societal network and structure of being able to work properly, just evaporates, and it's like, man, is this a death sentence? Is this a prison sentence? Is this what is this? This has got real world implications, and sadly, some persons have seen no way out. It's I think you've been at this for a very, very long time, Colin. So something like Norway, it looks like, man, is this a failure? Is this a failure to get justice, or it's actually a step forward, and we say, okay, they've made their rule, they've got out of their dilemma. We know the stand now, and the efforts that went into trying to find justice with an exceptional state lawyer. I mean, you talk about Gabrielson, and there. I was listening to it, and I can say, what are you going to buy if you had all the money? In terms of a civil action or legal action, what are you going to buy? Now we realize what the limitation is. We can see the outcome. What responsibility do we have as individuals in seeing the limitations of our present system? Not just in Norway, multiple countries where we see this replicated over and over and over again. Is that going to stop me as an elder, as a responsible citizen, responsible person within society, from saying, I've just witnessed something that is wrong? Others have witnessed it. They're fearful to give support, but what is my ethical responsibility? My ethical responsibility is to make a deposition to the police, because we don't have any other system. We don't have any other system. My ethical responsibility is to do that, to still involve the chain of leadership to the extent possible. I haven't washed my hands of that. And to act on what they've said. They say take a corrective action, and to experience the penalty. So you say, well, Matt, you must have done something wrong. Really? What is it? What is it? You could if you have got this might of this international legal system, you can find anything. You can find anything. Maybe I sneezed at the wrong time, or blinked in the wrong way. You can find anything. The fact is that it became retaliatory after a certain chain of events, and the patterns are out there. And so now this has come to, I say, the city gates. If you want to use a JW framework of Matthew 18:15-35, it's outside of those court systems, and it's now in the public, you could say, consciousness, collective consciousness. You want to say, when somebody knocks on your door, hey, come and join our organization, that it's appealing. I can tell you what my father would say. He'd say, I don't see how this is going to protect the vulnerable. I don't see how this is really doing something that sits well ethically. I can hear him saying these kind of words, and he's going to go, you know what, I could take your principles that look good, and I'll apply them, but I don't need to be linked up to your institution that looks like it's got a weaponized way of imposing some kind of sanctions upon my family. Thanks, but no thanks.
Yeah, absolutely. And interestingly, what you mentioned about, and this will happen. Those of you who are listening, don't get us wrong. This will happen. Where, for example, in the case that you mentioned of someone who witnessed corporal punishment, and then they got directives came down from the branch telling them what to do. They went through with it, and then they were removed. Okay? That's because that practice, there is absolutely no there's no way that practice is going to change. Okay? The fact that they wrote a letter about it, they sent the instructions down, is so that they can cover themselves later on. If there's any legal problems, they can say, we sent this letter. Look, We told the elder what to do. He didn't do it, or he didn't whatever. We removed him. He's no longer a witness, and that's how they protect themselves. Now, with what you mentioned about following our ethical duty, going to the police or whatever authorities we can go to, that happens. It happens. It always has happened, and it always will happen. You and I are evidence of that. There will always be individual people that have enough conscience to make the right decision. You might say, what did I do wrong? Well, you did the right thing. That's what you did wrong. Okay, because it has nothing to do with doing the right thing. It has to do with obeying the leadership. And so when in any powerful institution, whether it be within an organized religion, whether it be in politics, one of two things happens always. When a person realizes fully what this whole institution is all about, they either get in line or they leave. That's what always happens. Same thing, you hear it with people that get into politics all the time, and then they dropped out and they said, oh man, they'll have interviews later on and say, it's dirty. It's a dirty business. I got into it. Nah, this is not for me. And so what do? They leave. So you either get along or you get out. The institution itself is going to keep going. It's not going to change. So, of course, we have to continue on doing what we're doing. But when we analyze this situation, and I want to share here, because I think, and I'll tell everybody why, because I'm going to share this document in just a moment, just so we can go through a couple of points. I think at the very least, a positive point that may come out of this is that because of what the Supreme Court justices perceive about the organization may be forced now to come out with some new light. I think fairly quickly, there's going to be some new light that will get in line with what has been decided in this court case regarding disfellowshipping and shunning. Because we all know, of course, Matthew and Colin and everyone else, whoever else is with us today we know what the reality is, right? But now this has been put out into the public. That's the issue. It's been put out into the public now, and now there's this appearance of what supposedly, according to the Supreme Court, this is what the organization is. But the reality doesn't line up with that. So I think there may be, just trying to find something positive out of all of this mess, there may be some changes that have to happen because of this decision. Maybe just because the organization might want to avoid more lawsuits in the future. So if we look at here, I'm gonna pull up here. Everyone just be patient with me for a moment here. So I'm gonna share my screen, and
well, while you're doing that, Colin, I'm just going to reiterate, I am grateful for your work, because I look at these kind of discussions and I go, this is about ethics, and it is about justice, and it's about protecting families. And when it comes in and it hits you so close to home,
absolutely,
this is so damaging. This is why we've got cartels ruling, in street gang kind of, just the breaking down of law and breaking down of society. We have to get this right in order to have a safe and healthy society. That's my little chip in.
Absolutely. Oh, absolutely. No, you're right. Okay, so just so everybody knows, over on my main channel, you can go in there to either the community posts or the short reel or the video that I actually uploaded, and this link is there, so you can find this and find it for yourself. At the very bottom, for people who are a little bit more diligent than me, there is a link here for a PDF document of the entire decision, which you can download, but it's in Norwegian. So then you'll have to convert it to Word, a Word document, and then translate it. But this is a summary. So decisions denying Jehovah's Witnesses state subsidies and registrations are invalid. So, okay, what I want to find here is their reasons. Okay, so this part right here, I'm just going to read a couple of parts here. Please bear with me, everybody. So it said that regarding children's rights, the Supreme Court unanimously found that the state had not presented sufficient evidence to show that Jehovah's Witnesses, in practice, subject minor members to psychological violence or negative social control of such severity that the legally protected rights of children are violated. The court emphasized the internal guidelines for handling minors, that family ties are not broken. Listen to that. Family ties are not broken, and that there was no documented actual extent of exclusion of children. That was shocking to me. Absolutely shocking that this was one of the main points that the justices hang their decision on, that there is no evidence of family ties being broken. Wow. That is absolutely just staggering. So it continues saying, the Supreme Court further considered the practice of social exclusion of former members violates the members' right of free withdrawal. The court held that Jehovah's Witnesses meet the requirement of free and unconditional withdrawal under section blah, blah, blah of the human rights. Among other things, emphasis was placed on the fact that the practice, listen to this, emphasis was placed on the fact that the practice is rooted in the teachings of the religious community. Here's another lie. It is known to the members when they join and does not involve direct pressure, coercion, or threats. Now, I don't know how the state failed in this aspect, but as a former Jehovah's Witness, someone who was born and raised in the religion, somebody who practiced very devoutly, as much as you can as a witness, I guess. I can attest that this is completely, because they're saying that potential members know exactly that this practice exists before they become members. That is categorically false. Okay, the disfellowshipping procedure, the shunning practice is not mentioned at all in the initial contact with people when you're studying. Of course not, because who would go along with it? Nobody would. That comes later on, much later on. So it goes on to say, this practice of exclusion does not apply, now listen to this as well, does not apply to family members in the same household. Family ties are not broken. Again, they double down on that. Family ties are not broken. And here, this is even worse. Family ties are not broken for family members outside the household. So not only are they saying, okay, I could give them maybe a gray area on family ties not being broken within the household with someone who is living with you, but they go as far as to say is family ties are not broken outside of the household. Who did they talk to? I'm sorry, but I'm going to get a little bit emotional here. So I would like to ask both the prosecutors and the Supreme Court justices, well, sirs, where is my family then? If this is the case, if this is true, where is my family that I have not talked to in almost 20 years? If there are there unbroken ties outside of the household, because this doesn't affect anybody, according to what they're saying. This has no effect. Wow.
Colin,
It's unbelievable. Go ahead, Matthew.
where's the point of failure? It's in capturing the evidence, isn't it? And so we're familiar with what happened in Brazil with all of these cameras now watching what happens in a small insular society, small town, and how it was able to capture what was going on. So I think it is closing in. And now, how do you have a closed door tribunal, which now everything is on the table and there's a discussion among elders where they are endeavoring to try and contain a potential liability because one of them got stupid or there was overreach or there's a click going on and there's some kind of exposure that is occurring. It's getting harder and harder to try and contain those things. So the mechanism where now Norway is saying, oh no, we can't capture, we can't recognize this kind of harm or everything's normal. All that's saying is that they don't have the means to capture, though they don't put it in those words. But the way I interpret it is that they are struggling to capture the harm. But now with AI and cameras everywhere and your Orwellian 1984 society, it's kind of creating another kind of dilemma in that, oh, well, we have to relinquish freedoms in order for them to capture this to get justice. But in getting the justice, we have this Orwellian future that's arriving now. We lose our freedoms at the same time. So it's not a good outcome. It's like you go, oh, well, I want to work towards this. We're bringing in AI that's all pervasive into our life, and it sees what I'm doing in the bathroom as, you know, excuse me, washing my back and certain areas. And I've just got to say, well, that's the system, and I've now entered into a THX George Lucas 1138 system. Where everything is viewed and my intimacy is viewed and my private thoughts is viewed, and I've just got to suck it up because there was this unbearable situation where religion was just creating the psychological harm that's being registered in my physical system and recorded in my mind and my stream of consciousness that I can't reconcile, and I've got to just bring in that system, and that's it. Sounds a lot like slavery and harm.
Yes, well, and this is what we've been talking about, you know, and what I wish people would understand, that as technology advances and as we start getting, as you very well put it, scarily advanced AI programs, don't get it wrong, people. These are not there to make people more accountable as far as these kinds of acts or anything like that. It's to watch us more, you know, ethics more serve purposes for big businesses and their interests, keeping them, you know, their secrets and all of that. But as far as abuse, human rights, this just proves that it's not working. And it's not going to work because it's not being intentioned for that.
That's right.
And it's interesting here at the very last paragraph here, because they say unanimously, but actually it's not. In Norway, I guess they consider there's 5 Supreme Court justices, and if they have a majority of them, which in this case was 3, then they consider that to be unanimous. But actually, there were 2 dissenting judges. And if you read this last paragraph, the 2 dissenting judges know what's going on. This paragraph makes sense to me because they know what's happening here. It says 2 judges dissented on the question of whether Jehovah's Witnesses subject their members to undue pressure to withdraw, thereby violating the members' right to free withdrawal. The minority placed particular emphasis on the fact that expulsion can lead to loss of contact with family members, especially for minors. It was also emphasized that expulsion is the result of a rule-based order and is intended to be a tangible consequence for the person withdrawing. Absolutely. The minority therefore believed that the conditions for refusing state subsidies and registrations were viable because of that. They also further concluded that the decision to refuse registration was an interference of Freedom of Religion Act, blah, 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 but the interference was justified. The minority believed that the decisions were not in conflict, and so on and so forth. So anyway, there were justices here that kind of understood what was oh, I'm sorry. Hold on. Oh my goodness. I almost kicked myself out.
No problem. But while you do that, Colin, I'm going to say that document that you closed off with the two dissenting judges, notice it says that there needed to be some sort of consequence. In other words, if somebody was naughty, caught, let's do the obvious ones, smoking cigarettes, which we go, no, as a JW, that's viewed as pharmaca, uncleanness, unhealthy, not good. I'm just taking one of many. You smoke cigarettes. You're coming in as a JW. Yes. Well, if you smoke cigarettes, you're going to get kicked out. Yes, I agree. Baptize me. You make the agreement. So it's saying there you need to feel some sort of consequence according to the standard, much like joining the golf club. I'm going to be on these greens and I'm going to adhere to these rules and I'm not going to cheat or go into an out of bounds area. Fine, you can be part of the club. Pay your fees, whoopee-doo. Notice what it doesn't say. That document where it's got the two dissenting judges, notice it says somebody who's leaving or somebody who's being, who's it uses the word withdrawing in English there. Notice it doesn't put when there is weaponized shunning, pushing the person out. That's missing. So look, I'm going to venture this one, and somebody can say on your channel, hey, Colin, you got this crazy guy Matt there, and he's pushing the envelope and he's out of line. I'll go, okay, I'll be accountable for what I say here. I think Norway was in a jam, an uncomfortable one, a dilemma. Like Liv Gabrielson said, there's a dilemma here. And they were going, we need a way out. Two of you, you dissent. So at least we say
it looks like
Norway.
Yeah.
And thank goodness it wasn't 6 judges, because it would probably be a 50-50.
It would look bad. Yeah,
it would look really bad. And that's how governing body of JW set themselves up. It's always 11 or 13 or 7. It's never an even number, because it mustn't be 50-50. And this. I mean, when you were talking last night, I'm going, gee, Colin, you are so used to this system and how it works. Yeah. It's exposed. We know
the tricks.
So Norway pulled the same trick. They pulled the same trick. They could always say, oh, it was so close. One of the judges, can we tell you on the record behind the closed door when we shut the door? Do you know that one of the judges was? It was swayed this way and it was swayed this way, but eventually it was 2 dissenting judges, not 3, but it was pretty close to 3.
Yeah, it was close.
And it
was close.
So they do that so that it's very, very close, just in case the ethics does catch up with them, because it's like gravity. They know.
Yes. No, and not only that. One thing is, Matthew, don't ever worry about being labeled as crazy on this channel. So that's I like it's never happened to me.
I wear it as a badge of pride.
Look at the comments on my last video. That's just one. That's just
You
one.
could heat.
People are,
Yeah,
yeah,
sure.
yeah. People are used to. They're used to me. They're kind of. They see a video and oh yeah, well that's Colin. They know
Okay.
how I am. But I'll yeah, and if people view as what you said is crazy, that's not crazy at all. That's the reality. And but if that's the case, I'll take it one step further. Just to in turn, once again, I'll take the heat off of you, and I'll say something
Okay.
that is going to make a lot of people uncomfortable because this is the reality. Okay, here's the bind. Here's the bind that we've gotten ourselves into,
Okay.
especially these so-called democratic countries that are somewhat in line with the United States, European countries and our NATO countries, and so they have to, at least on the surface, they have to follow a certain uh, narrative along with the United States. So when it comes to putting the brakes on religious entities, okay, and I said this before, Norway did not want to be the first democratic country to do that. Because if they did, well, then they would be in line with Russia. Because Russia has put bans on the United States. And they don't, none of them, even though they might agree with them, they might agree with what Russia did. They might say, yeah, you know what? Russia saw some practices going on. They don't agree with the religion, and so they put bans on them. They put prohibitions on
Mm.
them. So now,
Hmm.
if Norway comes out, if they would have ruled against the witnesses, against the Watchtower Society, now they would be like Vladimir would be patting Norway on the back, going, "Yeah, you see, you're seeing things my way," or maybe Japan as well. So that's another issue. There's geopolitical reasons behind this as well. That in general, especially in the United States and other countries where religions have really been able to just run amok without any really real scrutiny or um, I mean, let's say with the exception of a few groups, like let's say the fundamental Church of Latter Day Saints, which is a branch of the main LDS Church, right? The one that was,
Mm.
the Warren Jeffs. They were raping young girls, and it was just, I mean, but they were like throwing it in people's faces, though. I mean, they were right out there with it. If they would have just kept their mouths shut and kept practicing what they were doing, nobody would know, right? But they were very like out in the open about it, and so the government intervened in that type of situation. But in general, they pretty much, the practice has always been to stay out of the hair of churches and religions, and nobody wants to, on any level, on such a public level, have anything that's in agreement with a country like Russia, which is viewed as their political enemy or whatever you want to call it. So that was a pressure I believe that they had on them as well, that they would be setting a precedent that would allow other countries also to take action against religions, and they didn't want to do it. They did not want to be the first ones to set that precedent, not let somebody else do it. Let the Russians have that distinction, or anybody else, but not us, because we have human rights and we have all this other stuff. And yet, in their own document, it's completely contradictory to what the International Bill of Human Rights says about being able to change religions or your belief system without any prejudice, without any harm. So I think what we both agreed on, I think what we both agreed on here in the delivery, in the gathering of evidence, that both the justices, which really It's not 100% their fault because it's the burden of the state to teach them, right? To give them the information so that they understand it properly. But I think even the prosecutor failed to, and this is something I talked about way back when I did that video a couple months ago. And I said, hey, this is why they're going to lose this case. And I made it a big, like, attention to this. They're going to lose this case. This is why. And that video got a lot of views, and I got a lot of criticism for it. But I said they're going to lose this case because even the prosecutor who's bringing this case against them, against the Watchtower Society, doesn't fully grasp the nuances of the terms and the vocabulary that is used and how those words are used and what the practice is behind it. Like you said, weaponizing shunning against people, forcing them out, because there's that word again that prevails. That I said this word has no place there. It's in Google if you look it up. People who withdraw, people who remove themselves. When did this happen? How did we allow this to happen? How was the prosecutor allowed to make that mistake, a terrible mistake, in going along with that and letting them use this terminology that it's the person who withdraws themselves? Okay, in which, in some cases, yes, that happens because people disassociate themselves. So they leave. Others are forced out. Others are kicked out. But regardless of how you leave the religion, whether it be you made the decision yourself, or whether you were pressured into it, or whether you were removed because of some type of conduct, the consequences and the treatment are the same for all of them, which is shunning, which supposedly, in the case of somebody, which is what Jeffrey Jackson said numerous times, right? Even all the way back from he was using this deceptive vocabulary all the way back in the Australian Royal Commission, that we don't disfellowship anybody, they leave us, right? That's what he said. That's what has been being pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed for years, to the extent that even the Norwegian prosecutor fell into that trap. He walked right into it. And you can see it in the summary of the case. They keep using that word, the withdrawn person, the person who withdrew themselves. So it puts the action on you, and it takes all the responsibility away from the organization. It does not put it in the frame of this is an institutional practice. This is something that is mandated. This is something that you have to do. And what I said as well, where it's a complete lie, where it says that there is no a person who, let me just put it in JW terms, okay? A Bible study, according to what they're saying, a Bible study knows before they get into the congregation, before they advance to baptism, they know from day one that disfellowshipping exists, shunning exists. No, they don't. Not explicitly. Not explicitly. What happens is once you get a little bit more, hola mi amor. Once you get a little bit farther into your journey as a Bible study, you will witness, you will observe discipline within the congregation. You'll see somebody, there'll be an announcement about somebody who was reproved. There'll be a marking talk. There'll be an announcement of somebody who got deleted or removed, or whatever the terminology they use now. And so, of course, what happens? It's all informal. You know, they'll at some point, either during the meeting or after the meeting, they'll lean over to the brother or sister who's studying with them. What does that mean? What happened? Why
Yes.
was he removed? What's reproving? I'll tell you later after the meeting.
Right.
And then you go out to your car and you sit down. Okay, this is what happened. You see, when this happens, that happens. There's a process that judicial. You don't talk about when you're studying with somebody. You don't talk about judicial committees. You don't talk about any of that. None of that is in that process. That's just you learn. You learn as you go along by little quiet whispering conversations in corners in the Kingdom Hall, where they will tell you, well, that's this person. We have to keep the congregation clean, so they get kicked out.
Right.
Oh, okay, but it's loving because it's to get them to come back so that they feel guilty and they. So you learn it through kind of like experience, basically, like
Mm.
being on the street, right? So, but it's not there. There's no. I would ask any Jehovah's Witness or elder or pioneer or circuit overseer, please show me either in your literature or in whatever book right now that you're using to study with Bible studies, where's the chapter that deals with expulsion? Where's the chapter that deals with judicial committees, reproofs, marking? They can't because it's not there. It doesn't exist. So, and that's by design. They do that on purpose. We know that they do. However, we do know where it exists. There is one place where it exists in the
Yeah.
elders manual.
Oh, right.
The elders manual is very
The
detailed.
ever-changing SLF book.
Which, speaking of that, there will be a new one coming out. Get ready for it.
Yes. Okay. Well, I can give you an experience in the past week because when I sent forward witnesses, texts, correspondence of a captured incident, an alleged incident. I mean, captured from beginning to finality, Colin. The ones at the branch who had written down the instructions of this is what you must do, when the branch received by receipt the courier documents, because they don't accept registered post, you know that, eh?
Yeah.
You send it in registered post, just goes round and loops until it's destroyed. And by the way, when you phone the branch, they tell you, oh, write to the branch, write to us, knowing full well what's going to happen to the post.
Yeah.
Because they just come back, oh, did that happen? Oh, how unfortunate. Oh, it's not a good system. Oh, shame. Sadly, yeah. What can you do? Postal system. So they know. I'm going to venture that they know that that's exactly what happens, which is why they advise you. Oh, I didn't know. Oh. So what I did was I bypassed that system and did courier and got it signed for. All right, and this is the individual, because as soon as you now connect to the individuals, you can make it a civil case. You can create civil liability. So you go, oh, did you stand on your own? You thought that you were going to get the support from the organization. No, you've now got to face consequences here. So when the individuals who were working in those departments, like service desk, research department, realized that they had given advice against themselves, they then cut off ties. But Colin, here's the interesting thing. This week prior to the Norway decision, they contacted me again. But it was now in another way, not addressing the last matter, ignoring it, so that they can go, oh, we've always had the door open. We've always had it. But then you can say, well, let's look at the timeline. How come there was a blockage of communication from this time to this time? So what that now says is, it says that you created a vulnerability that lasted a year or 2 years or 3 years or something like this. So yes, you're coming back. And it also shows that whatever announcement for so-called shunning is invalidated because you're now communicating what's going on? So
Yeah.
what I'm going to bring to the table here is just capture all of the information, capture all of the conversations, capture everything that was put on the table. Who are the witnesses? Who declined? Who was fearful? Which elders removed themselves from the discussion, because that also happens. It's just incredible. The more you can capture, the better. In my particular scenario, I've got an entire family and a police department that watched the whole thing. So it's out. Oh, and also a body of elders, because I believe that somewhere along the line, whatever is ethical in the human system, they're going to have to, in order to override to get to this mental dissonance or something like this, you're going to have to be heavily medicated or something like this, which is exactly what.
Yes.
But it's what we're seeing, Colin.
Yes.
In fact, the person who contacted me from Bethel, I know, is heavily medicated. So it's very interesting that now this did go to governing body level, by the way. Oh, yes, Colin. We can absolutely see who was involved. Okay, we've got the receipts. So in this particular case, and I would love to actually gradually release the chain of information out there, even if we subtract the names, because it gives us a way to see exactly what goes wrong, how things were processed. So even if they come back and they go to, we saw Matt Gray with a cigarette out his mouth. Meanwhile, he was playing golf and he had a golf tee, or I don't know, whatever it is that they make up to go, no, that's why we removed him. Oh, did we make a mistake? Well, I've actually got that on record too, because I had a couple of elders come to me and say, by the way, if we remove you and it's a mistake, it's our mistake to make. And I went, wow. This is a classic. Yeah. It's mafia tactics, right? It's a real thing. But if you shut up, it just vanishes and goes away.
That's right.
But I'm going to say capture it. Now, some persons will say, "Oh no, Matt, we can't do that in our jurisdiction." You say, "Yes, but if you're a Jehovah's Witness, you've agreed to Matthew 18, 15 to 35, and it says that every matter may be established." You say, "But I've got no witnesses. I've got no friends that'll come with me." You say, "No. What's Watchtower? Watchtower was a stone witness in the beginning. That wasn't a person. So it says, may this be a witness between you and me." So already you can see that stones or a paper document or a recording can act as a witness. And if they say, no, you're not allowed, well, that's a conflict of interest if they are the alleged guilty party. If you submit to them, you are submitting to their guilt or potential guilt, and you are complicit or potentially or allegedly complicit. So don't say, they say to you, "Oh, no, you're not allowed to record." The reality is, and this needs to get at, yes, you are, if you have submitted to that system. Because in Matthew 18, 15 to 35, it says that every matter may be established. And it's not saying that your witness has to be a live witness, when throughout the Bible, even your written testimony, John 1:1, the word becomes flesh. You wouldn't know about the word if it wasn't written down in text. That comes alive once you read the written paper. So I realize that might be sensitive to some of the viewers, and I'm not knocking a religious belief or something like this. But if you are looking at things like a psychological egregore, it is created through something like written transmission for it to become a witness.
Of course.
We wouldn't know.
Even that's what the Apostle Paul and Peter even talked about. How would we know? Right? How would we know unless there was someone to take this account down and then preach it to us? And then, so there's a line of.
Let me give you another one, Colin, because this happened in South Africa. So we've heard of the AGM, Annual General Meeting. So the general meeting used to be traditionally Stanley Theatre, right? That's where your shareholders, and there's a secret part or one that's closed door, and then there's the more open one, right? If you want to say the fluff piece. So,
Yeah.
so you've got the one that people don't see, and then you've got the one that's sent out to the world, and even
Right.
that's edited.
Right. Of
South
course.
Africa had an AGM. It used to have its own AGM.
Wow.
Then so then the governing body found out about it, and they put the heat on the South Africa branch, because actually South Africa branch was meant to be your backup branch in case anything happens in the United States. So it was like you're a shadow branch just in case, right? So it's like a redundancy system. So, so America branch, the way it happened was South Africa branch applied for monies for the AGM. And they said, "What? How come you guys have got an AGM?" As
What?
soon as it was, as
Yeah.
soon as it was money,
Of course.
so they said,
Isn't it always? Yeah.
yeah. So they went to the chairman. They said, "You better come down. You better give an accountability as to why this is happening, because it looks like you've got a parallel system, a parallel Jehovah's Witness system," which, by the way, Colin, happened in 1948. And there was a parallel watchtower in Africa, right? And they sent George Phillips to South Africa from Glasgow as with a legal team to tell the South African government, no. This watchtower is separate to Watchtower of New York and Pennsylvania, and because it's become militant, no, it's disassociated from us, right? Though it uses all of the literature from Cape to at least Congo, I would say even Cairo, but it got to Congo level, and it was only on the basis of George Phillips and his legal team that they got out of that trouble and said, okay, we accept that that's a separate entity, and but in a way it led to a lot of the African independence.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really did. It triggered all of these. Oh, it's so interwoven. But coming fast forward to not, I'm gonna, even 10 years ago is actually a long time, eh? But anyway, so the governing body said to South Africa branch, which has got a Lloydal title, it's its own township, said, "How come you guys have got your own AGM? You better tell us." But South Africa's also got its own legal team, and they said, "Give them this as an answer, because we're breaking sweats here. We are breaking sweats.
Yeah.
We know we're in stum, we're in trouble here." And I learned this one. The chairman said in reply, "We merely followed your example because you're the leaders. So we humbly followed your example."
Mm-hmm.
And I went, wow. What?
Majestic. What a move.
Yeah, but it's so.
What a move.
Excuse me. I'm gonna
Wow,
stop
they've got him trained well. Yeah, he used that right back on him. He turned it back on him.
Yeah.
Wow. I
But I learned a lot
wonder if
from
yeah, what an amazing apostate good answer. Yeah. That's just like right from the masters. They learned, even how to answer, how to manipulate.
Yeah.
That is amazing. Well, since we're gonna let's keep things jovial here. I want to share something again really quick here, just to let's keep.
Thanks, Colin.
I'm heaping more
No,
gasoline on the
I'll
fire here.
take it. I'll take it, and thank you. I know my headache is pounding, but so any kind of energy, thank you.
Yeah. So we want to. I'm gonna keep heaping the gasoline on the proverbial fire here, so that people can call me crazy. But remember, I did a little digging last night, and interestingly, and people that understand art will understand this. What I'm going to show you. People that understand the correlations. Okay, things don't have to be exactly, but you see across genres.
Okay.
Themes. Okay, so we had. Let's see. I'm going to try this. All right. Well, first of all right, let me pull up this. So everybody remembers this, right? Just as a preamble, just as a
Gollum.
yeah. Okay, so the picture that has caused so much dissent, the illustration. So okay, everyone saw this picture of
Mm,
this, from the governing body, and so I'm just gonna focus on. I'm not gonna try to put thoughts in anybody's heads or tell them what to see, but
okay.
okay, I think we all agreed on the face and the features and the glowing eye here and the color and all of that. Okay, so
Yeah.
we have
Or
this picture. So
pareidolia. Maybe it is,
yeah,
maybe it isn't. That's how it works.
yeah,
We've got to take the antithesis as well.
right,
Yeah.
exactly. I mean, but there's something there. There's some kind of face or some kind of whatever it might be. Okay, and all right. So I did a little bit of digging around, and all right, I'm going to get rid of that picture. And now, please keep that in mind, everybody that's watching what you just saw. And now I'm going to bring up a piece of classic art from one of
No,
the
you didn't
masters.
find Gauguin, did you? You found it, didn't you?
Okay,
Okay.
so okay, now admittedly, okay, now as I said, now we got to think about art here, styles, genres.
Mm,
Of course, this picture here is from Gauguin's. This isn't the whole picture. I just zoomed in on this. There's actually a
okay.
bigger picture. There's a it's basically the you can anybody can look it up. Okay, it's Gauguin's. This is called The Spirit of the Dead Watching.
No way.
That's the name. That's the name of, and the full picture is this this figure that you're seeing here on the screen is death. It's the spirit of the dead, and in the picture there's a bedroom, and there's a young uh, black girl, and she's laying stomach down on a bed, evidently in agony or dying or something's
Okay.
happening. Okay, something's happening to her. And this guy, he's actually kind of small. He's in the background, and he's just kind of watching on.
Huh.
Why? Because the spirit of the dead is watching, waiting to receive
Yes.
this person, right,
Okay.
over to their side. And so, but I thought it was interesting some of the similarities, like the colored eyes.
Well, you say this is the Watcher. Is that correct?
Yes, yeah, the spirit of the dead watching.
So what is the Watchtower? So the Watchtower is the
Hmm.
panopticon with the watchers on the top, and
Yeah.
Jehovah is the Watcher. But then you go back to, is it 1500s, the John Dee Watchtower ritual? And
Hmm.
you see, this is why knowledge is a very, very empowering. If you don't have that knowledge, then you're not sensitive to seeing these things. But when you do have that knowledge, then you see, oh, within not just JW, but within these systems, you can recognize the pattern and go, if it was a one-off, you could dismiss it. But when it becomes an established pattern, then you go, oh, okay, there is substance to this. And
Hmm.
that is your key to what's it, I'm talking about proper parapsychological research, because they don't go, oh, is this real? Is that not? Is this pareidolia? Is there a golem there? No, no, it's just smoke. There's nothing.
Right.
They don't ask that. They ask, what is the pattern?
That's right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Nice
Yeah. So
find, Colin.
that it's just something to think about. But it's
You
interesting the preoccupation with the spirit world that the Watchtower has. All of us know, anybody that's watching right now. We have 15 active people right now watching us, and thank you to all of you who are there with us. And so, Apostate Babe, welcome, hello to you, and also Linda, and anybody else. If I did not say hi specifically, I know John was in here somewhere, and Cyril. So, but we all know that from all of the literature we've read when we were witnesses, all of the illustrations, very heavy on the spiritistic aspect, very heavy on this spirit world and the demons, and of course everything is demons, 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 demons. When you're a witness, right? It's the demons. Oh, the demons are doing this and demons are doing that, or oh, Satan's getting to you, and so they have a very, very active preoccupation all the time with demons. And so it shouldn't surprise anybody with the shadowy figure that is under the table at a meeting of the governing body, not above them, not where the Holy Spirit should be, right? Above you, showing superiority, showing that it's enlightening you. No, it's underneath. It's something that's whispering. It's
Yes.
subtly influencing them.
Well, notice it's on the computer system.
Exactly. Why is it right by the man who's on the computer?
Yeah. And
Absolutely.
he's hunched over as well. He's
Mhm.
in a hunched position.
And in
But
fact,
he's
yeah,
at the table head position actually.
of all of the people at that table, the man who's at the computer is where you can see the most that lighter colored mist
Yes.
around his head,
Yeah.
which means this entity is very, very concerned about controlling the information. Because most
Yeah.
likely what goes into that computer is going to later on be redacted and then can become a law, or can become a new light, or can go into a publication.
I'll give you a reference, Colin, because I think it's important to have persons that have got the credentials, right?
Mm-hmm.
So here's somebody with credentials, and I think I must go to Rosemary Pilkington, Rosemary Pilkington,
Okay.
because Rosemary Pilkington works with, or her speciality in psychology is science,
Yes.
and
Seance science. Okay.
seance science. Now, if you go to her and you say, "Oh, well, the governing body just had a seance," she's going to tell you, hold on a second. She's not going to very quickly go, "Oh, yes." And you say to her, "By the way, there was a form of a hand, or the form of a face, or the form of a god." She's going to just say, "Hold on, yes, let me just go to the literature. Let me see if there's a pattern. Was there this, and this, and this that was there, and does it meet the pattern, first of all?" So even though you've got somebody that their whole work is seances, they're not quick to say, "Oh, this is a seance." But you start listening to Rosemary Pilkington, and you start seeing the patterns. I mean, she's written enough books or written enough literature, or had enough interviews out there for us to see. Oh, yes, this is the pattern. And then don't just take Rosemary there. Go and look at another PhD. Go take a look at several other PhDs. As soon as you're now connecting to these experts, now you've got some kind of academic peer-reviewed clout behind things, because these are the persons that if somebody gets into a jam and says, "Oh, we were a bunch of kids and we got into a seance, and man, it was a scary thing, and yes, we were pulling pranks, but it went beyond pranks into something that was supernatural that we can't explain." Or let's not say it was supernatural, but it feels like this, and we're all scared out of our minds, or we're affected by this thing. Well, guess what the parents are going to do? They're going to say, "Well, we have to send you to the psychologist because you messed up, and you can't reintegrate back into the family. You went too far, didn't you?" and so they would have to now get the right kind of psychologist. Rosemary Pilkington would be that psychologist.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
then you apply that picture and say, listen, this isn't the one-off. you know, Colin, you got heat because of this one-off, but start
Yeah.
applying many of those pictures and the scenarios, and now you've got Jesus Christ's own words. If you want to say JW Jesus, but let's just say Jesus Christ's words. By their fruits you will recognize them. It's not a bunch of flowers that's coming out underneath that computer operator. It's not an apple pie. It's not, you know, children doing ring of roses. It's a golem that's coming out. It's not these positive kind of images that keep coming out. And you go, okay, well, that's a one-off. But when it keeps happening.
Well, when you look at what are the just one of many, what are the fruits, as you say, that are coming out of that computer? Norway. Norway. That's that's the fruits that they're, you know, these court cases. What's in question here? Human rights, abuse.
All right.
You know,
scrap the golem, scrap the image. Then, Colin, I'll tell you about my overseer. Tell you about my overseer. There's a captain in my, or I've got a report to at Bethel, and he goes to prison. And I mean, I'm working with him closely. There it is. It's on the record. The court system says you get prison. So now they do accept the evidence. And what is it for? Big C, big A. I don't want to say it out loud to respect your channel, but you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And that is in the court system. Somebody says, oh, Matt, that was an unfortunate event. That's a one-off. That's not a pattern. That's a one-off. That happened. Oh, how tragic that he let Jehovah down. Well, I'll tell you exactly what the branch said, the branch leadership. Oh, when he's out of prison, we're going to welcome him with open arms. And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
And he gets out of prison. Phone call to Matt. Hey, Matt, you know, just want to get together. Let's hang out. And I'm going, please don't call here ever again, because if I'm with you and we're going to visit some house, I don't know what I'm facilitating. I can't afford to do that. I'm so stuck on any kind of activity that's surrounding you. Don't mean to disfellowship you or anything like this. I just can't have anything to do with you because I gave you chances. You've destroyed the trust. And let's take a look at my instructor. Same thing is removed for big C, big A. You see, once, what's it? Fool me once, shame on me, right?
That's right.
But when you now get this reoccurring thing, you go, well, Matt, you're one unlucky guy. It just gravitates towards you. And I remember the intimate acquaintances saying to me, Matt, geez, the thing that you attract, it's your fault. We imply that it's your fault. You just one unlucky guy that you keep having the same things. I'll say, well, unlucky or whatever. I need to take responsibility for who I associate with. And if it keeps happening this way, I cannot function like this. I have to either decide I'm going to take on this philosophy, or I have to expand my spirituality like this, or I'm going to have to form another kind of congregation somewhere and say, listen, I'm going to do the best I can where I've got control, because if I don't, I'm paralyzed. But at least I'm going to make the best to control things and place the necessary boundaries that are in place to function, and say I can't associate with these kind of people. And they say, well, then you are also shunning people. I go, but it's not an institutional thing. It's my own choice. And if the person somehow comes up with the works and builds up the trust again, I can personally decide whether I want to have that person in my close circle or not.
Right.
Sorry, I've ranted.
And don't you think? Yeah, no, but that's completely valid. And that is why when we talk about another topic that it might make a lot of people uncomfortable, but this is the reality, because we've seen it, that this is something, this international network that is involved in trafficking, that is involved in CSA,
Oof. Yeah.
that we've seen is infiltrated in every single level of society all over the world.
Yes.
Politicians, businessmen, actors, sports stars, singers, everybody. Okay, just to give you guys an example, okay, little country like Honduras that nobody, not even in your stratosphere, nobody even cares. Okay, there were uh, names in a certain file
All right.
that's very popular right now of businessmen and politicians right here where I live that made trips to a certain
Oh boy.
island. Okay, so I asked myself, and there are flight logs that this person who I think did not voluntarily terminate his own life. I think y'all know who I'm talking about.
Yeah, got it.
He visited the island of Roatan many times, and in Roatan, which is the Bay Islands, as part of Honduras, is notorious for rings of trafficking of women and minors. And so anyway, back to what I was saying. In the organization, what you were just explaining with this brother who gets arrested, of course they will let that happen. Absolutely. Why? Because it serves them. It puts the heat on that person so that they can continue doing what they're doing. And they won't defend that person. They'll throw him under the bus. They'll say, oh, yes, definitely. We care about our young ones.
Yes.
Jehovah defends children, and we don't condone. And if the authorities have to get involved with a person, then he should go to jail. And of course they will, because now they're putting all the focus on this evil elder who abused somebody, right? And it makes them look good, takes the attention off of them, and they can continue. But as you said, what happened later on? He got received with a procession coming out
It's
of
such
jail.
tricky stuff. It's really tricky because I even think down here where, okay, my one instructor said to me, Matt, what are you going to do? This is, and he's talking about the African continent. He says this is rife throughout the African continent. We're just focusing on our territory here, right? And sure as anything, I was seeing it over and over and over and over again and going, well, who's clear of it? It just seems to be all pervasive. And then when I was going into the territories and I was having Bible students and persons that were underage were getting pregnant, for instance.
Yeah.
The police have it's too, Colin, it's too much, because it's almost like they have to just keep the police, or there has to be a keeping of the peace with the gangsters and the police, and it's like it's this fight to create the status quo. That's what it is. So you're living with the sacred and the profane, and you're just going, yeah, it's such a precarious balance that in a strange way, the gangsters are keeping the economy at a certain level. And
Absolutely.
Am I making sense, or am
Yes.
sounding crazy here?
Absolutely. Same thing. This is a fact of life. Same thing happens here.
Yeah.
When
I used to walk down the road. Sorry. I used to walk down the road, and if there were persons dealing with illicit substances, there used to be kind of a respectability. They would put it away and say, no, this is a man of God, put it away, or prostitution or something like that. And when I move on, then they carry on. Right. There used to be a respectability.
Yes, absolutely.
I can't do that now. That's evaporated. And the other thing too is your weapons have changed. It used to be knives, and now it's guns, and the persons that have kind of replaced me and gone, oh no, we've got the angels protecting us. Well, they've been held up at gunpoint. They've been mugged and assaulted, and
Yeah.
you're going,
Oh, yeah.
did warn you, and
Yeah.
you were being blasé about it, that the angels are protecting you. When I came and gave you the report, it wasn't because of some sort of fear. It was out of responsibility. I've still got to put accidents reports down and near misses and things like this. And it's just going that I don't. I do have this sense of humor and a dark humor, but I go, walking down to some of these shops or whatever, I say, this is like a demilitarized zone. That's what it feels like to me.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm very familiar with this. I'm very familiar with refugee camps and places like this. I've gone or served in enough of these kind of facilities, and I'm going, well, I don't even go down to the shops anymore because that's the kind of vibe I'm getting. They don't want some bearded old guy down there or whatever. I mean, I look like I'm dangerous just in my appearance. But Colin, I'm trying to just say to you this, that the police are well aware of some of the delicate things, and they eventually get to a stage where they say, listen, agreement, we will go this far as long as you can toe the line, and we will kind of go like this as long as you don't cross that threshold. Do we have an agreement?
That's right.
And it's like that.
Absolutely. And a lot of that system, the same thing happens here in Honduras. Same thing.
Okay.
There are regions and groups of neighborhoods and places where the police know. They know exactly where the criminals are. They know where the heads are. They know where. And some of them in those areas walk around in plain sight with their families, their children.
Yeah.
And the police will not go there. They will not
it's
go
too
there.
much, isn't
And to an extent, they've created this because they're also, the government's involved in it. And then, well, what happens? Like what happened here. Everything is fine. There's peace. People are getting along. Most of the killings that you see, it's not random. People aren't just walking around shooting people. It's between delictive groups. It's between gangs and between drug traffickers because of territories and things like that. Nobody cares about that, okay? Drug dealers kill each other. Who cares?
Sure.
They're not killing random people, innocent people. But what happens? You get somebody that comes in who maybe for whatever reason they're not with the program. Some John Wayne comes marching in and says, I'm going to make a difference and I'm going to go after the cartels, and he starts going in there all gung-ho.
Oops.
And next thing you know, they're like, oh, this is how you want to play it out. We're just going to start killing people. And all of a sudden it's just mayhem when everything gets out of balance, because this is what they've created. Because like you said, even in the United States, they know exactly who's making drugs. They know exactly where it's coming from. And what happens? Yeah, they'll blow up a boat here. They'll catch a shipment there to make it look like they're fighting against drugs, but they don't show the stuff that gets by. Right?
Yeah.
They're not showing. So they know about it. None of this goes on without permission of the higher authorities.
Yeah. Well, this is where I've gotten into trouble, Colin.
Yeah. There's money.
I mean, I used to be traveling around, and I'd be witnessing a potential unaliving of maybe somebody who was part of a gang or didn't do what they were supposed to. And my reflex is, if I've got a car and they've tied the person up, I hit the poles with my car to save the life.
Yeah.
And I go, and if there's cops nearby, I'm calling the cops or whatever,
right,
and right. I'm just out of it. And it's just reflexive. You even go mad. You even thinking, I'm just going, no, I'm working according to reflexes and adrenaline.
Right.
And then the next thing, I'm at the cops and I'm reporting what I've seen, and they say, Mr. Gray, you know that this target on you is massive just for that intervention. And I'm going, what was the alternative? And it's the same thing in JW. What is the alternative? As an elder, do I go to bed, dear Jehovah God, Sovereign of the universe, I love you, my sovereign. I'm going to turn a blind eye to what's happened and
Yeah.
the families that have come to me that are saying that they would like justice. I'm ignoring them and I'm placing it all in your hands.
Right. Right.
And
That's
I
the
pray for the
justification.
Holy and I
Yeah.
pray for the Holy Spirit to empower. I'll tell you what happens as soon as the head hits the pillow. The Holy Spirit, or the natural sense that's in there, just asserts itself and says, "You ain't sleeping until
Yeah.
you get up off your backside and start with all of the principles that the prophets that you were reading in the Bible. You start applying that." So
Absolutely.
yeah, you can't get away from it. These memories, they accumulate, and I just go, well, if you, I'm talking from in that system. I'm not
Yep.
holding one
Yep.
religion or taking one
Yep.
down. I'm just going that that's the practical, real world scenario for anybody that's gone into this. Is you cannot escape conscience. You can't escape it. And if you do, that is the road to medication, or that is the road to sickness
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
depression, and it just doesn't work. It doesn't work for a society. It doesn't work for a healthy thing. And if
Right.
you do suppress it, guess what starts occurring? Here's the crazy thing: you start replicating the thing that you've ignored. You
Exactly.
start getting down on the road to that criminality. And I'm going, I'm not doing this. I'm
Of
not doing
course.
this.
Of course. Yeah. There's because of course if a person cauterizes their conscience enough, of course they're going to start to do those things. And then, like you said, you either some people don't have consciences. Those are the clinical psychopaths. There is a condition behind
Sociopath
that.
is the learned one, isn't
Sociopaths,
it?
right? They're the learned ones. Or as you said, if a person has a conscience and they repeatedly ignore it, ignore it, ignore it, ignore it, what is going to come of that is sickness. Because you might ignore your conscience, but that emotional load is still there. It doesn't go away. And eventually it will build up to the point where it'll manifest itself with or without you. And
Yes.
that's what happens to a lot of people that try to within the organization go along with the system and just, well, I'm just going to go along with it and leave it in Jehovah's hands. And, far be it for me to upset the spirit of the congregation. Well, that is accumulating because you're ignoring something that you have to do something about, but you don't. And you don't, I'm just saying you as in general, and eventually, like you said, you're either going to end up medicated or you're going to end up going crazy or something's going to happen. It's going to come to a head and it's going to explode. It's just like with any other um, mental health issue, whether it be depression, whether it be anxiety, whether it be past trauma, whether it be, whatever it is. If you ignore it, and some people, people have different mechanisms for ignoring or dealing with their PTSD or their anxiety or their depression or whatever. However, it's going to get to a point, just like with your blood pressure, just like with anything else, where when it gets to a point where it decides to manifest itself, it's going to do it without your consent,
Yes.
and it's going to come out in a way that you can't control, whether that be a violent outburst, whether it be a suicide attempt, whether it be whatever that might be, whatever that reaction is. Might be striking out at somebody. It might be, throwing a chair against the wall or bashing someone's car in or whatever.
Okay.
But
Well,
it's
I lost my eyesight. I couldn't see.
yeah. Well, there you go.
Do
Yeah.
you know, like
Right. It could
sunstroke,
be
when your vision
right.
clouds over, you lose your peripheral
Yes.
vision, and then
Yes.
eventually that was happening to me, and I went,
That was right, and that was a physiological
yeah,
response that you had to something that was going on inside of you, whether it be
yes,
emotional, mental, or combination of. Absolutely, it's going to have effects. I've been through the same thing, Matthew.
Yeah.
Same
Well,
things.
I went to a branch doctor, and then he said, "Oh, by the way, this is a psycho-spiritual manifestation." I said, "Yeah, I'm quite aware of that, but at least I got him on the
Yeah.
record saying that."
Yeah.
He said, "Well, actually, you want to know something interesting that you said that. Do you want to know where the cause is coming from?" "Oh, tell me, Matt." "Well, you."
Yeah. And that's why, yes, that's why so many years they were so adamant about don't go to a therapist, don't go to a psychologist. Oh, they're monkeys, they're this, they're that, because they knew eventually when you went round and around and you got to the bottom of what your problems were, you were going to find out it was them.
Yeah.
And that's what happened to me. I'll tell you a story. I'll tell you a
Thank you,
story here.
Colin. I
And
appreciate
everybody,
that.
I'll tell everybody a story. And I've mentioned this before on my channel, but it happened to me
Okay.
when I was years ago. And my first marriage, we went back to the States for a few years. My
Okay.
first wife was having lots of health problems, both physically and mentally. And so we got back to the States and ended up, she was having all kinds of problems. Just it was chaos. Our life was complete chaos. And then we discovered that she had breast cancer, and so that turned our life upside down. And we were just dealing. I was dealing with so many things. I literally just had a short circuit, emotionally, mentally. I turned to alcohol, and eventually, of course, that went very
Doesn't
badly.
work.
Yeah, that went very badly, and I ended up voluntarily uh, checking myself into a program in Minnesota. For it was just outpatient. You go there for sessions, and there'd be a group of people and whatever. And there was a therapist who, interestingly, at that time was atheist, and he was very good though because he was an ex drug dealer.
Hmm.
He was an ex drug dealer, and he had gotten in a lot of trouble. Used to carry a gun. He got arrested. All this stuff, and then later on, he turned his life around and went to school and ended up becoming a therapist and getting his diploma and all of that. And so, as a substance abuse counselor, he was very good because he had been there. So there was no fooling this guy. There was no. This wasn't some young kid just got out of school. You know, this guy had been around. He'd been on the streets. He had been there. So anyway, very funny. It must have, from his perspective, it must have been very, very entertaining to be watching me. Here I am, and the cognitive dissonance is just unbelievable. But here I am at this therapy session because my life is a complete disaster, complete mess. I'm just a mess. I'm a total mess. My life, finances, everything. And here on top of it, I've got a drinking problem. So here I'm at this program with all these other people, and yet I'm still trying to preach to people. I'm still trying to quote scriptures and like as a witness. Oh well, this and that, and then we would have these one-on-one sessions. You'd have your group sessions every day, and then at some point during the day, you would have an hour session alone with the therapist. And that's where he got me. And so we're in this session this one day, and I started to go into my spiel because he was always very vocal about the fact that he was atheist. And so I started going into my JW cruise control automatic, starting to talk about things that we repeating literature and repeating scriptures and all this stuff and all for the future and the resurrection and this and that. And he's listening to me, and he says, hold on, Colin. He says, hold on a second. He said, I'm trying to figure something out here. He said, it seems like you've got it all going for you. He said, I can't understand why you're here. You've got this great support system in your congregation with the other believers and all of this. You've got this wonderful God, Jehovah, right? Who's all knowing, all powerful. He loves you. He's got your back. The Holy Spirit, all of this. He's watching out for you. He's helping you, right? He's helping you through this difficult situation that you're going through with your wife, and you're trying to deal with it the best you can, and you turn to drinking, and he said, and added on to that, he said, you've got this hope, paradise, the resurrection, all of, even if something does happen, boom, in an instant you'll be resurrected, and you're in perfection. And he said, but let me ask you a question. I said, sure. He said, what I can't understand is, if you've got all that going for you, why are you here trying to kill yourself with alcohol? He said, just, I'm trying to understand, like, if you've got this belief system, you've got all this knowledge of the Bible, you've got Jehovah, you've got the paradise, why are you trying to kill yourself? Why are you so miserable? And you know what? I was absolutely speechless. I was just like,
brutal
checkmate.
Truth, eh?
Checkmate. And you know what?
Yeah.
I broke down,
Yeah.
crying like a baby.
Okay.
And I was like, you're absolutely right. I said, I don't know. And he's like, okay. He's like, you need to, like, this belief system. And he said, your reality is like this. You need to make some congruency here out of what's happening to you and what this system should be doing, but it's not,
Yes.
because you're here. If it was working, you wouldn't be here. You wouldn't be drinking. You wouldn't be depressed. He said, so something's not working. So he said, what's at the heart of your misery?
Yes.
And it was because of that system, because of being condemned, because of being shunned, because of what I was going through, and the lack of comprehension, and the lack of, because once you become a person who is perceived as a load, in the congregation, and you got all these problems, people start to, let's stay away from Brother Colin,
Yes.
because, oh boy, that's just a mess, And now I was experimenting it. Now I was the target of it.
Yes.
And so once I realized that was the first time somebody ever, what could I say, sowed a doubt in my whole life, my whole belief system up until that point, because I was still a witness. I was still a witness at that time. So that was the first major crack
Yes.
in my foundation was there. So getting back to what we were saying, that is why now I understand completely why they spent all those articles telling people to stay away from psychologists, stay away from, because you know what? You will find the truth. It's not because it's spiritism. They're gonna take you away from God. No, they didn't take me away from God. He didn't take me away from God, even though he was an atheist. He never criticized the fact that I believed in God or anything like that. But he said your belief in God should not be making you miserable. That doesn't make any sense. So actually,
it's giving me insight, because I see you weaving it into your art and your books.
Yes.
I see that then. And, you said to me, Matt, I don't know where this comes from. This comes from a higher source or a higher. And I go,
yeah.
These are valuable stories, Colin. Okay.
I think
Thank you for that.
Yeah. I think what happens is, and I'm not a finished work. I'm still struggling with a lot of things and thinking about, beliefs and all that things. And I'm always questioning and I'm always thinking about it. But I think a lot of times, a lot of us definitely do downplay the power that we have within us.
Mm-hmm.
And when I say higher power, well, a lot of that I think is us.
Yes.
A lot of that is, we're looking for a savior. We're looking for this person, that person, Jesus, Allah, Buddha, whoever, when really it's
Colin Zafke.
Yeah, it comes from inside of us.
Matt Gray.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Now, Colin, thank you very much for that story. That's a very intimate, candid piece of yourself, and I appreciate that, because there's healing there in that truth.
Yes.
It's
Absolutely.
not a pleasant truth. I wouldn't wish anybody to be in that situation, but I go, oh, here it is. He became a healer actually through his lousy circumstances, but was able to identify and impart that to you to get you out of your jam. That's interesting, eh? So
Yes.
yeah,
And the interesting thing is that years later, I lost contact with him after that for a
okay,
long time, many years, and then but he had my email, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, I'm talking about maybe 10, 15 years later,
mm,
um, out of nowhere, he wrote to me, and he
okay,
actually he's I guess you could say a believer now. He's Christian now, but and
right,
I'm not subscribing to
got
any
you,
particular religion
got
for
you.
anybody, but I'm saying anybody out there that's listening to us right now, of course, every single person, I've always said this since I started making videos on YouTube, every individual person has their own journey. I'm not telling anybody any of this or my experiences because necessarily it's going to fit you or anybody else. I'm just telling you this is what I went through. This is the journey I'm on. You're going to have your own journey, but it might, you know, that's why we have to check into things. You have to experiment with things and see. Anybody out there that's listening right now, if you've been thinking about or if you've had doubts about uh, getting help, professional help, seeing a therapist, going to a psychologist, go, go. You know what? In the worst case scenario, you might find out, well, this isn't for me, and you don't have to go anymore. You stop going. But you might find something that's useful in those sessions. You might find another perspective. You might find another exercise that might help you. Give it a try if you think that you need to. You know.
Colin, I get the sense, the intuitive sense. Sheila's with us, by the way.
Yes, she is.
But I get the sense that we're making progress, eh?
Yeah.
Even how did we start this thing off? We started this off with the Norway report.
Of course.
Okay, here it is. Big surprise for you, Colin? I'm going to answer that. No, it wasn't. You say that to me, Matt. Big surprise? No. but but have we made progress? Yeah, sure. At least they committed to some kind of answer.
Yeah.
Which means that they're saying, no, we want to keep our system the way it's been working. We know it's a crap system. We know it's a crap system. Okay, but just for a little while longer, can we keep it going before the big AI kicks in or whatever? So it's kind of like that. It's like this buying
Absolutely.
time,
Yeah.
but they're running out of time. They're running out of time because there is this.
And now that we have, because the worst part is not knowing, now that we have a definitive answer and we have a verdict, at least in that country, now we know where to go from here.
Yeah, we can work with it.
Okay,
If it
right,
means recording things like they did in Brazil, then that's what it's going to have to be.
right, exactly. So
Once your family back, that's what it's going to have to be.
absolutely. So Sheila, I appreciate you being here, and everybody else. Diane, thank you for your comment, and Butterfly is here with us, and I want to just make sure, see if I missed anybody else. I don't think so. If I did, please let me know.
Diane Lowe, Linda James is there, Harry and
Linda. Mm-hmm.
Mient. Is that your family there, Colin? Okay.
The one
John
that says,
John is there.
let's see here.
5555. Yeah, you got a bunch of comments here.
Yeah, the one I'll put it on the screen here. This is my wife.
Hello.
This is my wife. This is my wife Patty. I don't think she's here right now in the chat, but that's her anyway.
Hola, Patty.
So yeah, thank you, gracias. So Paste Babe says, Matt, let me put it on the screen so we can see it.
Yes, thank you, Linda
Matthew,
James.
please do take your meds when you know that you need it. Yes, I'm gonna say that. I'm actually gonna. I think we
It
should.
was it was almost like I needed permission, but I've been saying to Linda James, I haven't been taking these meds, but it's been bad, Colin. It's not been good.
Is it for your migraines?
Yeah, so this one hit me really. It's not good, and I know where it's going to take me just now, and I'm going to have to. So, Linda James, thank you very much. I appreciate the care, and thanks for that comment. I appreciate that. And Colin, thank you too.
Yeah.
I think I need to kind of reach out to you, funnily enough, get the permission, because
Yeah.
I'd go on to like Linda James's show and say, I've been free of this medication for such and such. And then to now go back on a day like this kind of feels like a failure, you know?
No, I know
Anyway,
how you feel. I know how it is. But you know what? It's that self care is for you, and it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks or what anybody, you have to take care of yourself, and it's not a failure. It's because the thing is that we need you and others. I need me. I need you. We need to keep doing this, keep going on this. We need to keep on. We need to keep helping people. But if we don't take care of ourselves, then we burn out. We can have
yes.
serious health problems, and I have in the past. Okay.
And then we're back to square one again.
Yeah. I had a channel years ago. In fact, when I started on YouTube, my very, very first channel, which was not called the CO Visit, it was in Spanish actually.
Oh, yeah.
And I had a very, very quite large Spanish following in Spanish at that time. And the channel was called Hermano Colin.
Hmm.
And so I had that channel for several years. I had hundreds of videos. But when I got into this, I got into making these videos about the XJW topic without preparing myself. I thought that
Okay.
I was just gonna waltz in here and start digging up all the stuff from the past and talking about all these experiences, and I didn't realize the emotional impact it was going to have on me. And literally, I got sick. I had to stop. I erased the whole channel. I walked away from it for over a year, almost 2 years, because I got so depressed because of rehashing all that stuff and realizing and becoming aware of all these things that were going on and the lies and all this stuff. And then several years later, I came back, and that's where the CO Visit, I decided to change over into English, and with a little different perspective and a little bit more prepared to deal with these topics. But yeah, we have to take care of ourselves because
Well, I've appreciated the CEO visit.
well, thank you.
Best CEO I've had.
Yeah, but do
It's
take care of
about
yourself.
time.
Yeah, about time. Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't
Yeah,
know.
so thank you very much.
It cracks me up, but you don't know how many people have sent me messages. And so
Yeah.
you were a CO, huh? And I'm like, no,
You are
no,
now.
I was never. Yeah, it was a very when I decided I was kind of venturing upon unknown territory because I'd never made videos in English, so I was coming into a
Yes.
different audience, and so I made my first video. I recorded it, but I hadn't uploaded it yet. And I thought, oh man, I need to make a video for this, a name for this channel.
Yes.
And I thought, well, brother Colin, that's not going to catch people's attention. It's got to be something kind of tongue in cheek, kind of a little poke at the witnesses, something that both witnesses and ex-witnesses. I wanted something that they would know immediately, like
Yes.
something from our culture that only we would know and immediately. So since the video I was talking about, actually, this is total coincidence, or was it? I don't know. Was the very, very first video that I made was I was talking about one of the most identifying, hypocritical, typical Jehovah's Witness culture aspect was when the circuit overseer comes around to the
Okay.
congregations. This is before I had a name for the channel. I was just making this video, and I said, I remember back in my congregation when I would kind of all of a sudden, like, I would forget that the circuit overseer visit was coming up, like maybe in a week or something. So like a week before, the elder body would start practicing
Oh yes,
and
let's
like
clean
get ready
everything up
for it.
before he
Right,
rocks up.
right, right. So
Hide
by
the
the
bodies, guys.
right, right, hide everything. So that
Yeah.
by the next week, everything looked natural, right? So all of
Yes.
a sudden, you would walk in the door of the Kingdom Hall, and oh boy, the elders would come up and they would get that
What an
handshake and hug
amazing
you.
spirit.
Yeah. Oh man, how are you
Yes.
doing, brother Zapke? And oh man, good to see you. And I'm kind of like, what's wrong with you? And they're yeah, the CEO is coming next week. That's right. So I said it's just the perfect example of
Yes.
what happens with the phoniness and the fake love and the after that once the CO left they couldn't care less, they wouldn't talk to you,
Yes.
and so that was like, oh, that's it, the CO visit, that's the name of the channel, and that's what it's been since then. And so yeah, but that comes from a place of just observation of something that you observe in
Yes.
the congregations, and you observe those things and you see those quirky little things that happen, and just the fakeness of it. And I told people the story of the low key racist CO visit, which,
Wow.
and I told this story, and you know what? The funny thing was, and the correlation I made to it, I don't know if anybody got the joke. Maybe not everybody here is a Trekkie like I am,
Oh
but
yeah.
there was a movie after Star Trek: The Next Generation ended in the '90s, and then they had their first motion picture.
Right. Right. Right.
And so when it came out, one of the characters who was very popular was Data, who was an android. Okay, and he was always striving to become more human, but he didn't have emotions.
Right.
There was a chip that his creator made for him, but he never wanted to use it because he was kind of afraid of, like, well, I become dependent on that, and
Okay.
I want to make this journey. Well, anyway, in the movie, he ends up installing it, and so there's a scene where he's talking with one of his shipmates, and just out of nowhere, he just starts hysterically laughing,
Oh yes.
just laughing, and the other character says, "Data, what are you laughing at?" He said, "I just got it." He said, that one time you were telling a joke on the bridge and you told Commander Riker this, and this. And he said, Data, that was like 10 years ago. And he's like, yeah, I just got it. And he's laughing.
Yeah.
I said, this is what happened to me with this CO visit, the circuit overseer, at the moment, because I was young in my naivety, and I didn't think they were capable of being this evil. And downright, it was actually pretty funny, but it was very racist at the same time. But there was one family in our congregation, only family where there's a little bit of diversity, because the husband, who was an elder, he's been an elder for ever and ever and ever since the beginning of time, was from Mexico. And he immigrated to, how he ended up in Minnesota, I'll never know. Never have any idea, but he was about as American as anybody could possibly be. But they had the bad habit of, they only worked with their family out in field service. They would not work with anybody else. They were like the sealed, little hermetically sealed group where they would not work with anybody else. It was just them and their family members and their extended family members. They would just stay together, and they would immediately, when the coordinator or whoever was doing the field service meeting would ask them, okay, does anybody have any prearranged groups? Immediately their hand would go up, and you would know, oh yeah, of course they're going to work with them, their own people. They never work with anybody else. Well, this one circuit overseer came one year, and he was a single brother, and very like loose cannon. Like, he was very, very cavalier about the fact that I could just do whatever I want. I can say whatever I want. I can, because I'm an overseer. And so he said he'd already been to the congregation several times, and okay, we're going to make car groups. And the brother raises his hand. Oh, he says, Brother Roldan, okay. He said, listen, he said, I've already got you guys figured out. I've already got,
Oh yeah.
I've seen the pattern here. So he said, guess what? He said, this time around, he said, no, it's about time that I break up this little cartel over here. The entire Kingdom Hall ruptured in laughter. And it took me years to understand why, because he chose that particular word, cartel. I'm gonna because he was Mexican, because the brother was from Mexico. So he said, I'm gonna break up this little cartel over here, and he made them work with other people in the congregation. Everybody, they got the joke because everyone else was older. I was a teenager, I didn't get it at the time, but later on, I was kind of like Dade. I was just like, oh, I was like, man, I get it now. But I was like, wow, that was kind of mean. you know, it was like that's like, if that would have been a black brother, he might have said gang, or he might have said, some other related word. But that was very specific dig that he said to that brother because he was Mexican, But I was like, wow. But anyway, those are little interesting things that happen in the JW world. So moldy dealings, as Apostate Babe says. Yes, absolutely.
What's this moldy dealings things? It went straight over my head. Sorry, Sheila and Linda James and Colin, I missed it.
Yeah, what's the maybe Apostate Babe? You can give us a translation of let us in on the joke there.
You know what? My brain cells need help.
Because we had last minute shepherding calls. Then you said something about green for life.
Well, I'm thinking. My jam goes moldy when I treat it.
Oh, that must be what it was. Okay. Then she said moldy dealings. My jam goes moldy when I treat it right by not screwing the top on. Okay.
Okay. Well, Sheila, I was saying green for life because I view myself as gray, the gray area, and then I view you as the green, and then Linda James has got purple. So there's all these various colors that make up the spectrum. So I was kind of defending you, Sheila, given that you're the green, and I go, no, the green for life. Yeah. But now I get where you're coming from, sure.
Yeah. the greenery.
Colin, I think we made good headway here, and thank you very much for.
I think we did. I think
the therapy session. I think that's what it's.
Well, but that's what we said at the beginning, though. Today was more of just, let's deal with these emotions that we have and get them out, and now I think we can use our energy for digging into this more intellectually now. But the intellectual part gets clouded by the emotions.
Yeah, I was in physical pain, and I think also connecting with people too, because Colin, thank you. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to say I appreciate you
without any intentions of getting into your personal business. But if you need to take meds for your pain, please do so. Please do so.
Yeah, I've been trying not to get in because it's a two-edged sword.
I know.
Damn,
I know it is. Damn. You gotta make that balance and see what the benefits are versus
Anyway, thank you very much for that.
Thanks everybody else
and also to your audience as well, Colin. You attract the right people here. I'm grateful for Sheila's contact.
And I know there's a lot more people watching that are not interacting, which is a good thing as well, because we've got 15 active people, which we've maintained, and there's only maybe 4 or 5 people that are actually commenting. So there's a lot more people watching, but we appreciate that. I appreciate that you're here, that you're in any way getting some benefit from this, listening to things. And you know what, guys? Just like it says in the Bible, listen to everything. If something doesn't work for you, throw it away. Keep the good things. Get rid of the things that don't. We're not going to be right about everything. You're not going to agree with everything that I say. I don't ask you to. I don't expect you to. I've got my reality. I've got my life I have to live. And things that work for me in my life might not work for you. So take the things that you can use, just brush off the things that don't, and So one more thought here, really quick, from Sheila. When dealing with high control systems, we should take whatever happens, pick ourselves up, dust ourselves down, and start all over again. Yes, of course. And I think that's the true measure of our character, is how many times we get up. It's not about falling down, which is, as witnesses, we always focused on falling. Oh, you slid back again. Oh, you fell again. No, it's about, can I get up again?
Sure.
Can I dust myself off? Can I keep going forward, keep moving forward, not let this stop me? We're going to fall. We're going to have, falls. We're going to trip and fall. We're going to have mistakes. We're going to have failures. But we get up again. We keep going. So that's life. That's how it is.
Good CO visit, Colin.
I wanted to leave on, I don't know if I can find it now. Let me just really quick here. There was a phrase that I saw today, and I wanted to share it with everybody because I think it's very, very important. Here it is. No, not that one. Okay. Sorry, guys. It was something to the effect of, now, of course, when I want it, I can't find it.
You'll find it.
Yeah, I might have to just upload it later on. But anyway, it was something to the effect of that we have to do our best in this life. We can't use the transitory nature of this life, or the seeming maybe futility, as an excuse not to act. Even if that's true, even if life has no meaning, even if it's futile, we still have to do our best. And we still have to do something. We still have to leave something behind. That was the essence of it. And I think that's a good idea to live by. That even if those things are true, even if we were to find out that all of this is nothing, all of it's for naught, that's not an excuse not to do anything. We still have to do our best. We're still tasked to do something and make a difference.
Yeah, that's gaining mastery, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. And I'm not saying I'm there. I'm not saying that, people. I'm just saying that I saw the phrase and I liked it, and I thought that's something to strive for.
Well, if you find it, please may I ask you to put it as one of your posts on your yeah.
You know how it is when we're under pressure. You can never find something, and
sure.
An hour from now, there it is. Okay.
But then
okay,
put it on your posts, and then we'll see you from there, and I'll put a like on there.
Absolutely.
And thank you again, Colin.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, those of you who are in the comment section, and others who are viewing. Thank you. And this will be an ongoing topic. It'll be an ongoing discussion. Today was venting, so now we're going to look at a little bit more in the future, some other topics. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, later on, Matthew, you're going to have your own live stream, maybe later on today or at some point.
I'll be aiming for Saturday. There's a different community there on the Saturday.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. So, this will be ongoing, and each person, we're all going to give our own unique perspective to this topic and many others. And so it's good to, be there and also support Matthew and get that perspective as well. So thank you. And Matthew, thank you for being here despite your, I know your physical challenges that you're going through. Thank you for being here and just giving me that time. I really appreciate it so much.
I know it's not healing as well, and also the community that jumped in there. It means a lot to me. So thank you very much. You facilitated that, Colin.
All right, I'm gonna end the stream here, and we'll be in the after party for a minute or so. Thank you, everybody.
Okay, bye-bye.